But yet, if somebody says to you, oh my God, what's the matter with you? Phew, you look awful today. Oh yeah, I believe you. Why do we believe the negative and not the positive? And this again is where this external validation comes in.
Hello and welcome to the 6-Star Leaders podcast. I am your host, Aveline Clark, and you're about to listen to another incredible conversation with an amazing human, all about how they are making a difference in the world using passion, purpose, and their alignment of their genius. It's going to be good. They always are. Enjoy. My next guest is the lovely Natalie King. We call her, or she likes to be known as, the confidence coach. She's the founder of Natalie King Coaching, and she's also an author, a podcaster, speaker, teacher, coach, and mentor. During the pandemic, she ran 2 virtual summits helping business owners, and she's also a distinguished Toastmaster. She's certified in a number of different things all around happiness, confidence. She's got certifications. She's done so many programs. The thing with Natalie, though, she lives and breathes what she's passionate about, and that is inspiring and empowering other people, business owners, to tap into their superpower of confidence and having confidence to be their best self. And that's why I love this conversation so much. She is effectively a warrior on this path to help create this world that I also want to see be created. And Natalie's doing her part. It's a great conversation, and I'm just so grateful she came across my path and I could have her on the show. So enjoy this one with Natalie King. Now, I'm here with my guest today, Natalie King. How are you doing, Natalie?
Hi, and thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited.
I am too. I'm really excited, and thank you for joining me. I know it's super late at night for you, and it's early in the morning for me. Gotta love the cross-continent conversations. This is very normal for me, but I just love that technology can bring us together. It's great. So let's kick it off. I'd like to get to know you better, and our listeners would as well. Can you share with us where you are in the world and who do you serve and how do you serve them?
So right now I'm in a place called East Anglia, Suffolk, East Anglia, which is in the UK. And I'm not that far from Cambridge and just down the road from Newmarket, which is horse racing. Anybody who knows anything about horse racing will know Newmarket is one of the places. So I'm down the road from there. It is really late here, which is, as you said, it's fantastic that we can communicate from northern to southern hemisphere, and it's wonderful. So who am I and who do I serve? Well, that's a very big question, but in a nutshell, my name is Natalie and I'm the confidence coach. And this is because I'm passionate about confidence, and I really believe that everybody can have their own superpower confidence. Everybody can be confident. And I'm on a mission to create a lot of superheroes, so to speak, to just find their way of being confident. I mostly work with women, older women who have life changes, and that could be going from employment to self-employed. It can be kids leaving home, so the empty nest. It can be because your kids are leaving home, do you go back into employment? Or do you start your own business? So it's life changes. It can also be life changing through menopause, through just struggling with any differences, anything happening in your life. So it's not necessarily through just the menopause, but it's when something happens, and it doesn't have to be big things like the world shutting down. It can be just small things, as I said, empty nest. And it's like, oh, who am I? What do I do now? But saying that I mostly work with women, I do work with men as well. So I'm not discriminating against men, but I find that I tend to attract more women who want to work with me. And I think also women learn differently. They work differently. And I just seem to work more with women. But it's about helping people to really find who they are, reconnect with themselves, reconnect with this is me, and starting to recognize that person in the mirror. So that's in a nutshell, is sort of what I do.
Wow. I'm intrigued. I'm all ears. I'm like, ooh, that is fascinating. And obviously you didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be this confidence coach. You got here from a journey, right? To be able to teach to others. You've obviously been through something yourself. So I'm very fascinated in the journey that you've been on. Could you share with us, what has been the journey that's brought you to where you are today?
So I actually grew up in South Africa. I have an English father and a Swiss mother growing up in South Africa. So you can, even from there, I was already the odd one out because we had a lot of the European traditions which didn't always fit in South Africa, and I never really fitted in. And I was bullied all my life, pretty much. School, then jobs, and just I think the bully just kept following me around. They just changed their appearance. That's how I sort of described it. And I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. I even moved country to find out who I was, to try and find, am I English? Am I South African? Am I Swiss? And I didn't even know what identity I could label myself. And I came to the UK 23 years ago, and I was the odd one out again because I didn't speak with an English accent. I didn't understand a lot of the English culture, even though I grew up with an English father. But it was simple things like pants. Pants in England is something very different to what pants are in South Africa, and I think even in Australia. Is if you say something like, I'm going to change my pants, the English are visualizing you changing your knickers or your underwear. Whereas in South Africa, pants is trousers. We don't say trousers. So it's little things like that. We're speaking English, but we're still speaking a foreign language, and there's that miscommunication. So I had to learn the English way of life. But as I said, I was the odd one out again. And again, being bullied. So I did a lot of care work. I did living care. I worked with elderly. I worked with disabilities. I worked with learning disabilities. And I did enjoy it. But then I hit burnout because, again, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't have a voice to stand up for myself or say anything. And I worked for Royal Mail, which I did enjoy that job. It's as a postie, it was a great job. It paid the bills. But the older I was getting, and the more I was just going from one job to another, I was isolating myself more and more. And it got to the point where I wouldn't really socialize. I wouldn't go out. I'd go out for work and then come home, and I'd live for going on holidays. I loved just going anywhere. I did quite a bit of traveling, but I didn't know who I was. And then I got a job which was supposed to be the job for life. It's a very prestigious, one of the Cambridge colleges, and it was like, wow, this is easy, good money. That's it. I'm settled for life. I was there for 3 months and I realized I made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. And it was really difficult. And I stuck it out, and I thought, okay, I've got to find another job. but I didn't want to just go back to not really feeling challenged, not really feeling valued. And I had an experience, I think one of the only panic attacks I've ever had in my life is hurtling down the motorway, going to work, and I had a panic attack. And it's not recommended to do that when you're driving a vehicle through Cambridge, where there's a lot of cyclists and students and people. And I don't know how I got to work. I still don't know how I got to work. It's just a blank for me. But I got to work safely. And I phoned my husband and I said, I can't do this anymore. And he says, well, quit. It's like, okay, but what am I going to do? But I did. I went in and I handed in my notice. And then I panicked. What do you do? Oh my God, what am I going to do? But I realized then if things are going to change, I have to change them. Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and say, oh, look, I've got the perfect life for you here. You have to take control. And that was something I had to learn about. I had to realize. And this was in 2013, so it's 10 years ago this happened. And at that time, I'll admit it now, but I didn't admit it at that time, is I was very close-minded. I was who I was, and that was it. Nothing could change. I didn't believe that a person could change. I had such a closed mindset. I was just in this really tiny bubble, tiny comfort zone. Everything was tiny in my life. And I then thought, what do I do? And I came across a multi-level business. I don't know if you call them network marketing business and I came across that and I thought, okay, let me give it a go, because I didn't want to get another job because that was not getting me anywhere. I never wanted my own business. I never ever wanted to work for myself. 10 years later, I don't ever want to work for anybody else. So it just shows how things can change. But that was the beginning. That for me was my beginning, is I had to learn to change my mindset. I had to learn to speak to people. I had to learn to do things that made me uncomfortable. I had to learn so much. It was like going back to school and just learning so much. But I love learning. And this company would say, there's a training. I'm on it. I went to every training that was available. I read books that were recommended. I just devoured stuff. And I would look for workshops, and I just traveled the width and breadth of the UK, which is really tiny compared to Australia. So you can do it. But I would just go and absorb stuff. And I also joined an organization called Toastmasters International. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is in Australia, and it's a public speaking organization. And I did that fairly quickly because I realized I needed help to speak to people. And I decided to do public speaking. One of the highest phobias in the world. It was really scary. But I just made the decision that if you're going to change, you need to get as much help as you can. And my biggest thing was talking to people. Any business, whether it's a multi-level business, whether it's a web design business, whether it's an architect, anything, you got to talk to people, clients, customers, service provider, whatever it is, you need to talk to people. So Toastmasters was my way of relearning how to communicate. I could talk one-to-one with my husband and the friends that I had, but strangers, I had a problem. Groups, oh no, that wasn't going to happen. Oh no. So I did. And it's through this company and through Toastmasters that I slowly started to change. I didn't understand what the change was. I didn't understand what it was. And it took me, I'm a bit of a slow learner sometimes, but it took me about 2 years to realize the change was confidence. I was starting to become more confident. I was starting to realize that I'm okay. I'm a decent person. I have a voice. I am allowed to say stuff. I'm allowed my opinion. And I deserve something. And I have potential. And that was for me one of the biggest things. And through that, it was, okay, now what do I do with this? What do I do with this information? And I qualified to become a life coach, and I really enjoyed it. But again, it wasn't ticking all my boxes. I was finding stuff was missing. And I still carried on learning and doing things. And I was still doing the multi-level business. And then I qualified, or I achieved distinguished Toastmaster, which was quite an achievement for myself. And it was like, okay, now what do I do with this? And I wanted to help people to speak. I wanted to help people to stand up with confidence and speak, whether it's in networking, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's presenting to a client, or I just wanted to help people to speak. So I did. I started a confidence with public speaking course, and I was building that up, and it was all face to face. And then the world shut down. The world just went turned upside down, and I was like, okay, now what? I didn't want to just, at that time, the word pivot was being used a lot. There's pivot. And I didn't just want to go from being face to face to online, because the course that I had created was very much about being present, being there. And I had never really worked online, and I didn't understand the online, how it worked. And of course, a lot of speakers did. They hopped online. Everybody went online. So I sort of pulled back a bit, and I thought, okay, now what do I do? And I started to sort of peel stuff, public speaking. There was the confidence. There was the life coaching. There was the multi-level business, what I had learned with that. And that sort of fiddled to the wayside. I still have 1 or 2 clients, but it's there. It's not my business anymore. And then I started to really think, what is it that I want to help people with? When you go down into the core, and I came up with confidence. So it's like, okay, what is confidence? Because that's the way my brain works. I want to know what something is. And I started to really research confidence, and I actually qualified to become a confidence coach. And I really started to dig into what is confidence. And that is slowly how the confidence coach grew and developed. So it's been a 10-year journey to get here. And I'm sure in 10 years' time, it will be very different to where it is now. But where it is now is where it needs to be, if that makes sense.
Wow. I love people's journeys. You've been on an extraordinary journey, from what you said, starting out, moving countries, going from job to job. Were you searching for a sense of belonging, and was it more than belonging? Was there something sort of within you that needed to be filled, because you didn't have that self-confidence?
No, I just wanted to pay the bills and travel. I didn't have enough confidence in myself that I didn't believe that I could achieve anything. So it was very much an existence. My parents had jobs that they loved. My mother was a teacher, and she lived, breathed teaching. She worked for the same school majority of her life, and she just thrived in teaching. My father was a mining engineer and a teacher, but everything he did, he thrived, and they were both really good at it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't have that inspiration. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any drive. I totally lost that connection to myself. I did sometimes feel that I could achieve more, but then that voice was like, who do you think you are? Huh, achieve more. Just be grateful you've got a crappy job. And I just lived like that for years. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would be as passionate about helping people to not live like that anymore. I had to go through that. It's almost like going through the desert to really appreciate the water when you find it. And yeah, I think, I wish I'd known when I was in my 20s what I know now. I mean, wow, think where I'd be. But then again, I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been going through that sort of survival and really just being in such a tiny place in my mind and in my life.
Yeah, great insights. And as you were talking, I was thinking, I'm sure there are so many people that live their life like that today. It's common.
Unfortunately, it is very common, especially after the last 3 years. That has really knocked a lot of people's, the little bit of confidence that they might have had, it's taken that away. And so many people are just surviving. And yet everybody has that power to thrive. And this is where, when I said in the beginning, I really do believe that everybody can have that superpower of confidence, because with that confidence comes the ability or the knowledge within yourself that you can say to yourself, I can do it. I can go to the moon if I want to. I can do that traveling that I want to do. It doesn't matter how old you are, what age you are, what education you got, what your background is when you choose to make that difference, to make that change, you can do it. It's not necessarily easy, but it's possible. And that's what I want people to start believing in, is believing in themselves, that anything is possible. If they put their mind to it, if they work towards it, you can do most anything that you want to do.
Absolutely. Would you say that the defining moment for you was the panic attack that actually woke you up or brought you to a new level of awareness or understanding about yourself? Or was it after that?
The panic attack was the kick up the butt, basically. I had been unhappy and I had wanted things to change. I mean, that's why I left the Royal Mail and I went to the college, and I was trying to make the difference, but I blamed everybody for the situation that I was in. And it was like, oh, woe is me. And because it's like this and it's been like that, nothing will ever change. This is the way my life is going to be. And I also didn't believe or even know how to change. But there was that something in there that was saying, well, you can do it. You can change. You are worth more. You can do more. You don't need to be in these jobs that you hate with people that don't value you, who are bullying you and making your life miserable. But it's like, yeah, but this is what I deserve. This is what I know. And it's funny, they call it a comfort zone, but it's not always very comfortable, but we just live in it. And that's what I was doing. I was living in this tiny, tiny little comfort zone because that's all I knew. And I didn't listen to myself. And I think it was the universe or something just said, right, we've hinted, we've, told you gently, subtly, and now we're going to take you by the shoulder and we're going to literally shake you up. Because if you don't listen now, then something's really going to happen. And I really do believe that if we start to listen to our gut or listen to the universe, it's there to help us, whether it's source, whether it's God or Buddha, whatever anybody believes in, there's something there that helps us and that can guide us if we listen. And if we don't listen, they try and tell you louder and louder, whether it's through an illness or an accident or something can happen. It's like, come on now, seriously, wake up and smell the proverbial rose. This is you out of this rut, change, do something. And I was so terrified of, if I'd had an accident in my car, I would have killed somebody. 70 miles an hour is a hell of a speed. I could have killed somebody. I could have just driven into somebody who was on a bicycle. I could have hurt somebody really badly. And that scared me. I wasn't worried about myself. It's like, what, if I just go into I wasn't suicidal, but I didn't really care if I just went into the side of the road and, something happened to me. But I was so concerned that I could have potentially hurt somebody else. And that was my okay, I have to do something. And I did. I quit my job. I had to work the month, but I gave in my verbal notice. And it was like, now what? I didn't have a plan, but that was it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't understand anything. I just knew something had to change or I was going to end up hurting somebody. And I didn't want to do that.
Something came to me as you're speaking. It's a quote by William Thoreau. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. And it's true. And that's what you were living. Would you say that sense of, oh my God, I've got to get out of this situation I'm in, is because you knew that you couldn't keep that feeling, that turmoil on the inside anymore? So it was like, I've got to shift. I don't know what it is, but I've got to do it. And for some reason, like you say, the universe source said, no, you've got to figure this out. And now you're teaching it to others.
Well, the saying is you teach what you need to learn. And, it was, for the first time I didn't have a plan. Even though I lived a really tiny life, I always had a plan. I never just left a job. I'd have another job to go to or something. But it was, okay, I've got to trust this. The other thing that scared me is I thought, I've got 30 or 40 years of work ahead of me. Do I want to be in this situation for the next 30 to 40 years? And that was like, no, this wasn't going to happen. I'm not a very trusting person, and it's something I'm still working on. 10 years later, I'm still working on trusting myself and trusting. But that time, I just trusted that something would happen. Something would guide me to the way to go. And when I just sat back and just thought, okay, I've now handed in my notice, what I do, panic. And then it was, okay, I've been using these products. I was told there was a business behind it. Let me find out about it, because it's either that or get another job. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to do it. And I just found out about the business, and I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I was so desperate. You just do whatever it is that you're doing. And I just think, for as much as people put down multi-level businesses, there's actually a great way to learn. I learned so much about running a business without a huge financial buy-in, without any sort of huge commitments or anything. And a lot of what I learned then, I'm still using today. And it was almost like okay, here's step one. What are you going to do with it? After that, you're on your own, but we will help you with the step one. And then you can take it from there.
What do you see as the biggest hurdle, I guess, that people face in being able to have confidence and have that inner belief that they can speak up, step out, do what they dream, do what they want? What is it that you see today?
The belief that they can have confidence. And one thing that really knocked my socks off when I really realized what confidence was, or about confidence is a skill. And when something's a skill, it's learnable. And when something's learnable, you can put actions to it. And when you can put actions to it, you can become confident. And that for me was like, oh, wow, it's not just, it just happened for me. I didn't actively find a way to become confident, but I now know how to teach that instead of taking, 6 years to become confident, you can do it in like 6 months if you put the work and effort in. And it does vary from person to person. But the biggest hurdle is, but I've never been confident, therefore I can't be confident. Oh, I don't know anybody who's confident, so I can't be confident. Oh, I don't have the education, so I can't be confident. Oh, but my schooling was rubbish, so I can't be confident. It's that lack of belief in themselves that they can be confident. That's one of the biggest hurdles is the brain, is the mind.
Exactly. And I think we also, we live in this world that I think where the societal norms is where there's different norms. And if you subscribe to those or carry out those norms, then you're accepted. So there's this external validation. So we live our lives largely to be accepted by others outside of us. And that might not be in tune with who we are. That might not be what we really want. It might not be who, it might be not our words. So we carry out actions, words, we do things that are not truly in alignment with us, right? And I would say that if I think about my own experience and journey, when we are playing the game of seeking external validation, then how the hell can we be confident? Because we're disempowered.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. And when you rely on outward, you are then also I'm going to try to say this word. I can't speak. Oh, that word's gone. You are, okay, hang on. I got to think of another word. When you rely on the sort of external validation, you are then also prone to receiving the negative as well. And then you really react to the negative. And when you feel that you've not being who you are, you'll start to question yourself. And any little comment can really hit you in your core, and you will doubt yourself, and you will not believe anything anymore, and you just believe the negative. And one of the things is you can be given 9 compliments and 1 negative comment, and you will believe the negative comment and you won't believe the 9 positive comments. and the compliments, you won't believe them. And if you think, how many times have somebody said, oh, you look really nice today? Oh, no, no, I'm tired. I haven't slept. And you think, I can't look nice. And you'll question it. Oh, you did a really great presentation today. Oh, no, it wasn't my work. It was everybody else's work. You will find a reason that it's not yours. And quite often when you are also given a compliment is you'll feel uncomfortable. You'll feel really uncomfortable, as if like, oh, I'm being judged. What's wrong with me? They're waiting for the other shoe to drop almost is they're lying. They're lying. Why are they lying to me? Why are they saying something like that? Is there something wrong? And they're just trying to make me feel better. And this is, but yet if somebody says to you, oh my God, what's the matter with you? Whew, you look awful today. Oh yeah, I believe you. Why do we believe the negative and not the positive? And this again is where this external validation comes in. And one exercise that I do, and I've had to learn this myself, and is one exercise I always share is when somebody gives you a compliment, doesn't matter how uncomfortable you are, smile and say thank you. Because when you start to disempower the compliment almost, it's like, oh, that outfit looks really nice on you. Oh no, this is old. It's, oh, I just hauled it out the cupboard. Oh, it needs to go in the wash. What you're actually doing is you insulting the person who's complimenting you. You putting them down. And when somebody says something nice to you, compliments you on anything random, just smile and say thank you and allow that to sit inside you. Because when you do that, you almost putting it in your mind that it's true. If you're arguing the point, you're starting to justify why you don't deserve the compliment. But if you just smile and say thank you, first of all, it shows that you appreciate what the other person has said to you and that you respect what they've said. You might not believe it, but you respect it. And by saying thank you, you are acknowledging that that person has value. But also, when you accept it and just say thank you, you start to shift stuff in your mind and in your brain. There's a whole sort of rewiring going on. And it will start you on that confidence journey, because next time somebody compliments you, you will then, becomes automatic, you'll smile and say thank you. And you will start to put these compliments in your sort of pocket, like picking up pebbles. And it will get to the point where you'll start to believe the compliments. And this is just a simple way to slowly start to build confidence. And it's not hard work, is it? It's not like a huge mission. But just by saying thank you, smiling and saying thank you, you are accepting this gift that person has given you. And you acknowledge to that person that you accept the gift. I hope that makes sense. But it's such a powerful tool.
Powerful yet so simple. And I'm sure the listeners are kind of smiling and nodding. I don't think it's something we're taught, right? It's not. Unless your parents are the kind of people that teach you the personal development kind of things at a young age, it's not built into our education. I've grown up in a society in Australia. We have tall poppy syndrome here. It's a big thing in Australia, which means you don't want to put your head above the rest. You don't want to be seen as being smarter, better, or, different to the others, because then they'll just drag you down. So you just don't even put yourself out there. So that was when you were talking about this external validation before. And I was like, yes, tall poppy syndrome. That's another thing. I feel like there are more people that are consciously, ignoring that, being themselves. I do think that social media, whilst it has all its negatives, I feel that it's actually allowed people to step out and be express themselves in with confidence that where they couldn't do that before. Would you agree with that? I mean, forget putting aside all the negatives about social media and what it can do, but it's actually allowed people to express themselves and perhaps be more confident.
I'm going to say yes and no to that. It's yes, you can. Social media is a great place to have your voice and to say what you need to say. But on the other hand of that, it's almost because it's an impersonal, that you sitting in your room and a keyboard is there, you can say things that are not necessarily coming from a place of confidence, but from a place of appearing more confident, if that makes sense, because you're not in a room with the people, you are in your own space. So it's easier to have this false sense of confidence. And so it's the yes and the no, like everything, there's two sides to the coin.
And there's no dialogue as such. It's more a projection. As you say, it's not a true interaction then in that sense. Tell me, with the work that you've done and the people that you're working with, where does ego play into this? I see it like, is it a spectrum? What two ends at the spectrum? Where does confidence play into ego? And how does one balance that out? How can people be too confident, overconfident? At what point is it, is there overconfidence?
It's called arrogance. I'm sure we've all come across that.
Yes.
So yes, you can be overconfident. And again, it might not necessarily be a true confidence. So there is the confident in what you're doing. So there can be in your skills in your job or in your business, but yet in a different scenario, you won't have confidence. So it's you can have too much of that confidence or that arrogance that can come out. The confidence that I very much want to work with is that inner confidence. It's almost in your, I always liken it to my heart. It can be anywhere for anybody, but it's right there in your core. It's times when you don't feel confident, but you still do what you need to do, but you do it gently. It's times when you most probably do feel that overconfidence and you're thinking, okay, hang on a minute. Is this real? Is this who I really want to appear? Because yes, I'm confident in the situation, so I can really project that. But is that the way I want to be? And I guess this is where the ego comes in. It's very easy that when you are very confident in something, you can almost become domineering, especially if you're surrounded with people who are less confident than you, or if you just have a stronger personality. So for instance, like introverts and extroverts, is sometimes an extrovert would be much more domineering. It's not a mean thing. It's just because they thrive in company, whereas introverts are very internal and they must really sit back. So again, it because you may be with these different personalities, you might project a bit more. And this is where I really believe that the confidence is sort of right inside. And it's okay. How do I be who I am without sort of walking over others or projecting over others because I can. And I think that's where the ego would come in, is it's okay to just sit back and see what's going on, see what's happening. You don't have to be always heard or always seen to prove that you're confident. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. It's a fine line. I think I'm fascinated to learn about your thoughts around, or in your experiences around, this intersection of, or the importance of having this internal confidence, this, this deep in the heart, this alignment of can someone be inner confident if they're not really sure of what they're doing? Does it need to be in alignment with their genius or their passion, or you know what I mean? Like, does there need to be some other alignment in order for that confidence to be there?
So the true confidence, the real confidence is there, even when you are struggling with something, or even if you feel that you're not so skilled in a certain area. The confidence is still there, because that confidence is your belief that I can do it. I can get there. I'll give an example, is if you want to learn a new language. So if you've got that inner confidence, and you learn a new language, you're going to be rubbish at it. You're going to get your syntax wrong. You're going to get your pronouns wrong. You're going to get the pronunciation wrong. But if you've got that inner confidence, it's like, that's okay, because I'm learning a new skill. I'm learning something new. And you'll be okay to travel to this country and speak like really badly, because you are learning. And that's what the true confidence is. Whereas if you don't have that confidence and you're learning this new language, you might not speak it because you're worried you're going to get it so wrong, and people might laugh at you or like look at you as like, what did you just say? But that inner confidence is like, okay, I speak this language really badly, but with practice, I might be better. It can be with cooking. It can be with baking. It can be with anything new. You're not going to go from not knowing to brilliant at it. And sometimes you might never get brilliant at it, but that's okay, because guess what? You're a human. We're all human. But the confidence, that inner confidence, is about, okay, I'm never going to speak this language, or I'm never going to make that, 10-tier cake with the beautiful little flowers on it that that looks like a waterfall. I'm never going to do that. But maybe I'll just bake one cake and, just slap a little bit of icing on it. And that's okay, because we can't all be brilliant at everything. We're human. And that confidence, that inner confidence, it's almost like, that's okay. I'm not going to be brilliant at that. I'm going to be good enough at that. This cake might look wonky, but it's edible and it tastes good. And that's what that confidence does.
Yeah. And what I got from that as well is that it will enable you to do something regardless of what someone else thinks and whether you might fail or not.
I love failure.
Oh, really?
Failure is lessons that we need to learn. Failure is so important. It's so important. If you think, with kids, if you've got kids, so any of your listeners who have kids, when they start to crawl and start to walk, they fall down, they get up. When we start to drive, how many times did you stall the car? I did it a few times. when you learn to read, when you learn anything, you are going to fail. And that's okay. In business, there's failures that happen. Sometimes with me, it can be on a weekly basis, but it's learnings. You look at any of these big business owners, there's the failures behind them, because those are the lessons that we learn. And there's this idea in society now that failure is bad. No, failure is actually a fantastic tool, because it shows you that, okay, that didn't work. What happens if I try something else? Or maybe that wasn't a good idea. Let me try something else. So, and again, failure is another tool to help you build your confidence. Because when you have that confidence inside you, it's like, okay, that didn't work. Right, back to the drawing board. Or do I give up this idea totally and just do something different? Or do I start again? Or do I tweak? Do I need help? Do I need to learn a new skill? And this is what failure teaches us. It's about finding a way to make it work. And it's so important. And when you've got that confidence, failure isn't this huge, big, oh my God. And you asked in the beginning is, what would stop somebody from becoming confident? And sometimes it's, I might fail. I might fail. Yeah, you might, but you might succeed as well. And that's the thing.
Love that so much. Okay. The big $1 million question. What does being 6-star mean to you?
I've been thinking about this, and I think for me, just from what I've seen going on in the last 3 years and what I've been experiencing myself, is 6-star for me is about really connecting to me, to the I. And it's about connecting to who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And one of my favorite words is humanness. I love that word. And I think 6-star is about how can I really reconnect with that humanness inside of me? And when I connected with it, what do I do with it? How do I shine my light? How do I help? How do I share what I've learned? And I'm very much using the I, but I want all your listeners to ask these questions of themselves. So how do I help? How do I move forward? How do I reach my potential? How do I be that lighthouse that guides the ships? Whatever it is, it's reconnect with the humanness inside and be okay with your strengths, with your weaknesses, with your quirks, with your weirdness. Be okay with it, because it's part of who you are. And that for me is very much what 6-star is. It's just reconnecting with the humanness.
Oh, so love that answer. I mean, not that I am judging other answers are different, because we're all different. And yet at our core, it's us. It's us that shows up. That's, the I that brings ourselves to our business, to our customers, to our staff, to our families. We're interacting. It's all about the I. And the more we connect in with I, and I think the more we also have the confidence, don't we?
Definitely. Because when you know who you are and when you accept who you are, you start to then have that confidence. And when you are in that humanness, there's that connection with others and the accepting the other eyes, accepting that humanness or that other person in their own humanness. And I think for me, that's what humanness really means. It's not, oh, well, these are my beliefs and everybody has to believe them or else. No, this is me. You are you. How can we collaborate together, work together, or have a conversation together? How can we be part of a world together and be okay with that? And I think, and the humanness is not being the judgment, not being the judge and the jury and the executioner, but just being who you are. And when you really dig into who you are, you then have that confidence to say, well, this is me. I'm okay with me. I would like you to be okay with me because I'm okay with you. And it's just that human connection, that humanness. I have no other word for it other than humanness.
It's a great word. It's a great word. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. It makes so much sense to me and hopefully the listeners as well. We are coming towards the end. I can't believe we've already been talking for this long. How can people get in touch with you? And is there, something, what is it that you offer people? How can they be in touch?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Natalie King. You can contact me on my website, Natalie King Coaching. One thing I do is I love having conversations. Send me a message, and I'm always happy to hop onto a Zoom call and have conversations because any connection starts with a conversation. And I do have a download. With 3 C's and a V to confidence, which is some nice tools in there that I offer to see if they work. It's just, I love simple. I really do love simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I'm on a mission to have all those little superheroes running around.
I love your mission. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. We'll have all of your contact links below in the show notes so people can reach out and contact you. Okay, one final little question for you I like to ask our guests, and that is there something you'd like to leave our listeners with, like a parting tidbit, gold nugget, little piece of advice?
Regardless of what that little voice in your head is saying, you are worth it and you deserve to be more confident. You deserve the life that you want and you deserve to step into your power and really start to step into your potential as well. So what I would say is that little voice that's going, nah, 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 nah. No, put a muzzle on it and just really start to believe that you deserve everything that you want that's good in life because you are a valuable human, and start to believe it. Start to believe that you are worth it.
Thank you, Natalie. What a beautiful way to end and a beautiful way to sort of start my day as well. It's I could have you on every day. It'd be a fabulous way to have every day talking with you. Thank you. I've enjoyed every moment of this. I think there is so much we can gain from all the wisdom and the learnings that you've given us, and I just really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come and be in your energy and in your circle. So thank you so much for inviting me. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Good, likewise. Well, I look forward to connecting with you very soon.